All right. Hello, Instagram, and hello, Facebook. We're just waiting for this to pop up. We are just moving forward on this comeback challenge. Okay, good. I can hear myself. Amazing. All right, so we're going to dive right in today. I am loving this comeback challenge. The reason I'm doing it, first of all, is to get you into action. What I've noticed happening in January, and really this has been happening because of the election cycle, right? A lot of people are focusing their attention outward, elsewhere. They're focusing it on things that are causing them fear and anxiety and things that are out of their control. So I'm doing this series for you to get focused, to follow along, to apply it to your life and business. And if you're new here, my name's Cami. I'm an intuitive life and business coach for high achievers and for perfectionists. And if you're not sure, if you're one of these, high achiever, you have big goals, you have big dreams. There's a lot that you want to do. Perfectionists have a tendency to want to do it right. So today we're talking about evaluating. And this is one of the most painful parts of the process, but I want to talk to you about doing this in a way without the shame, without the judgment. So let's talk about it. Let's say, I'll use some examples for you here. First of all, in order to get results, and if you go back and watch the past videos, you'll kind of catch up on this, but I want to summarize what I've been teaching over the past couple of days. In order to get results, you must take action. We all know that. Now, with my high achievers, typically what they're doing is they're taking all the actions in all the places and not necessarily slowing down to stop and evaluate. So I also want you to understand, let's say you're an action taker and you're taking all the actions. Stop and ask yourself, am I getting the result that I want, right? So am I signing more clients? Am I making more money? Am I having free time to rest and spend time with my family? Or am I just piling up my schedule with saying yes to all the things, okay? So yes, the results are going to take actions, but what we're going to do during the evaluation process is we need to look at how was I thinking before I took this action? How was I feeling before I took this action? And we need to slow down enough to evaluate the thoughts and the feelings that are driving the action. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. I just coached a group client on this. I had a client who continuously, right, we've already doubled her revenue multiple times, right? We've got her up to 5K, we got her up to 7K. She's working on 10K a month in her revenue. But one of the pain points that we're finding, and this is completely normal. So if you're here and you're watching this, you're like, yes, that's me. I want you to know that this is normal in your business, where we start to learn how to hold on to our profit. We start to learn how to put money into a cash reserve. We start to learn how to manage our finances coming in on our personal side of our business, or on the actual business side of our business and the personal side. So with her, what I noticed was every time she would get an opportunity, so let's say it's a marketing opportunity, a summit opportunity, a speaking gig, a book project, like all of these opportunities to get more marketing, to get more eyes on her stuff. She kept saying yes to it, and she kept reinvesting all of her profit. And it got to this point where she's like, I don't like the money that I made, this 7K that I made, like it's not there anymore. And listen, I've done this time and time again, and I'll teach you from my experience and this client experience. It all has to do with what we're thinking. So listen up. If you are below six figures, if you have not yet hit 100K in your business, I want to implore you to stick with organic marketing. I want to implore you to do the things that are free or low cost in terms of your networking and marketing, and here's why. So if you don't know what organic marketing is, it basically means don't pay for ads, right? And don't pay to be a part of these summits, don't pay to speak on stage or pay to be on somebody's podcast. What I want to teach you is to actually use the relationships and skills that you already have for free in order to grow your business, in order to grow your revenue. But when I coached my client on this, this is what we found. I started to ask her as she evaluated this, I said, here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that you think you need to be in front of more people. You need to be on TV. You need a book. You need to be on podcasts. Like, it's kind of like what we do in the beginning of our business. Like, we need somebody else to validate us. So then we start paying all this money to go out and be seen as the expert. When you think you're not an expert and you think you need to be platformed more and you think you need to grow a bigger audience, the innate thought is, I'm not an expert. I'm not good enough. And then that innate feeling is like insecurity. So the action I'm taking as I invest in my business, in my marketing plan, is insecurity, and I need people to see me a certain way, and I need to get in front of big audiences and be a part of big summits because I need to be validated externally. Okay. And so then the actions that she took from that was like she just kept investing and investing and investing in all of these marketing things. All right. Now, hands up if you've done this. I'll share some things that I've done. I was adding up, I think I've invested $15,000 in courses and programs that I didn't necessarily need. And I definitely, like, it was too soon in my business to do those courses and those programs. And I remember I was working with my coach who was giving me the tools, who was teaching me how to do organic marketing, who was teaching me how to make offers. And I had everything I needed to make 6 figures, but I wanted to run off and like find this other program that was going to teach me how to master YouTube and master Instagram and master webinars. And I invested $15,000 that did not give me an ROI. So I'm here with you in this. I've done the same thing. And I noticed whenever I was doing this, I was like, oh, I need like this specific tool in order to like get people to find me. Right. So what we do, the next thing we do is when we're thinking of investing, we're thinking about growing our business, we're looking at what other people did. We're looking at their strategies, and then we're going, oh, that must be a quick fix. Like that must be the thing. Like if I go viral on TikTok, that must be the thing. So let me spend all my time, money, and energy trying to go viral on TikTok. And what I want to bring you back to is if you are wanting to get a result, especially in your business, you want to create value in the marketplace. You want to be meeting all the people organically, whether online or on social media, online or in person or on social media. You also want to be making offers over and over again, making sure they know how to work with you over and over again. And then you're going to start to see what's my specific equation for my specific business to get the result I want. Because here's what I know. I've had clients that had 70,000 followers on Instagram making $0. They had people engaging in their stories every day, 3,000 people engaging in their stories. But guess what? All they were doing was entertaining their audience. They never had anything to sell. They never had anything to offer. And then when we worked together over a few months, we got her up with something that she could sell, promote, and market. We had something that she could actually put on a website and physically sell a product. And as soon as we did that, she started to have money coming in. So if you're wanting to make more money in your business, you have to do those 3 things, right? You have to make sure that you have a network of people that you're building from scratch, from day one. You could just decide that right now. Then you want to make sure they know exactly what it is that you do in clear, plain terms. And then number 3, they need to know the next step to take with you, right? Is it book a consult? Is it go to your website? Is it fill out this form? You want them to know that clear step every single time, again and again. And then what we do, you set your target for the month. This is what I want to achieve this month. This is how much revenue. This is how many clients I want. Then at the end of the month, you look at your results and we evaluate those results. Okay. So we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to check the comments. Josh says, invested thousands of dollars, didn't get much out of it, but told to keep doing what I'm already doing. LOL. Yeah. And so remember, everything that we do in our action, okay, the actions that we take is going to be driven by a belief system. And what I've seen to be true, and I did this, I hopped on TikTok, I think 1.5 years ago. And the results I got from TikTok is I signed $15,000 of clients from TikTok from a cold audience who didn't even know me. And some of those clients are still working with me to this day. But the reason why I did so well on TikTok is not because I knew anything about TikTok. I didn't have a clue. I didn't even spend any time researching. I had a couple of tips from my coach, but the thought that I had was 3 minutes of my brain is extremely valuable. And of course, people are looking for a life coach. And every day I would just put 3 minutes of content over and over again. And then I would say, here's how you book a consult. Here's what the consult looks like. Here's the link. And I signed, I think 3 or 4 clients off of that. So it can be that simple. Now, when we see somebody wanting to reinvent themselves and create this whole TikTok strategy, it's not that it's bad. It's never bad, right? Like you can go all in on a strategy, but you need to look at the level of business are you in? Are you willing and able to commit the time and the financial resources to go all in on that strategy? And I typically say you can get to 100K just doing the basics, just doing relationship building, just making sure people know about you, just making sure that you're offering things over and over again. So as we're evaluating your business, as we're looking at what you want to create, I want you to think about a couple of these steps. I'm going to walk you through 7 steps. And you can listen to this replay. You can do this along with the replay. And you can also reflect right now and play along in the comments, because I love that as well. And Chris on Instagram says, do I have time to rest? Yes, that's also a result we want to create. Because I did this when I built my first my first year of 100K. I had so many clients and I was thinking about them all the time, and I thought they needed me all the time. So they were on my mind always, even on weekends. And so the result that I created was thinking that I needed to be available for them all the time. They needed me all the time. And I realized, I taught on this yesterday, that I was stepping into the savior complex. I need to save my clients. I need to be there for them. I need to solve their problems for them. And what I did my second year of 6-figure business was I decided my clients are smart, they're capable. We coach for 45 minutes each week. They're going to get exactly what they need during that week. And they are smart enough and intelligent enough and capable enough to follow through on that. And then I can talk to them the next week. So I learned how to emotionally detach from those clients so that I wasn't stressing myself out thinking about the 15 clients all week long. Okay. So that's a result that I learned how to create. And I noticed it was just coming from this thinking of scarcity, they're not going to be okay without me, right? Which is not a good place to ever put our clients in. All right. So as I walk you through this plan, I want you to think about, okay, I'm going to execute, I'm going to take an action. For some of you, that's really easy. You're taking all the actions. But the evaluation process is where you determine what action is giving me an ROI, what action is giving me a return on investment, what action is actually helping me to sign clients or connecting me with other people or connecting me with referral partners or helping to align my brand with people within the same value system. So for some of you, you're taking too many actions and they're all over the place and you're not evaluating them. And then for some of you, so let me just tell you why this happens. For some of you, you're overactioning, taking a lot of action. This is coming from the nervous system response, fight, flight, or freeze, right? You're fighting. You're I'm going to fight to get the result. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to hustle my way there. And sometimes it's I'm not good enough unless I'm everywhere, or I can't, I'm acting out of scarcity. So I have to say yes to every networking event. I have to say yes to every opportunity, right? Versus being able to be I'm going to say yes to the things that feel really aligned, that I have energy for, that I have time for. And then I'm going to say no to those things. And I'm going to trust and believe that if I miss out on a networking event, everything's going to be okay. Right? That is a much calmer decision-making process. Then I have my other clients who get stuck in freeze mode. They get stuck in overthinking. So I have clients that get stuck in overactioning, taking too many actions, and I have clients that get stuck in overthinking, right? Overthinking all the things they could do. So let me know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay, are you more of the overactioner or are you more of the overthinker? Let me know. Okay, I'm taking a sip of water, make sure that my voice is good. Okay, Chris says, what's meant for me will be for me. Yes, exactly. And we love having this positive mindset of if it's meant for me, it will be for me. And I know how to create clients. I know how to create results. I know the things that work, right? And in the beginning, right, let's say you're starting from square zero, you don't even know, we have to come up with literally a hypothesis, an experiment of what we think is going to create results. Yeah, Josh says overthinker. Okay. Yep. And Chris says I can be both. Yep. All right. So what I want to get you into today is calm, focused, certainty, decision-making, curious, and this feeling of I can never fail. Because here's the deal. I work with a lot of business owners that want to get to 10K months, right? Or if you want to get to a 6-figure business, that's a 100K business, that means you want to consistently make $8,000 a month. So here's the way I like you to think about it. I like you to think, okay, I'm going to set my goal at 8K. I'm going to set a hypothesis for an experiment on the actions that I think can create that result. I'm going to practice thinking that allows me to feel confident, secure, curious, open, valuable, right? I'm going to practice thoughts, feelings, and actions, and then I'm going to put that into a plan and then see what comes out at the end of the month or see what comes out at the end of the week. All right. So I want you right now to think about step number 1 in how to execute and evaluate is what is the result that you want to create? And I want you to be specific. Okay. So is it, I want to create $5,000. I want to create 1 new client. I want to create 3 new connection calls or consult calls. I want to be a guest on 5 podcasts. Like, put the specific result down, write it on a piece of paper. And then, in order to get us to this place of thinking and feeling that's in alignment, I want you to do step 2. So step 2 is, how would you feel if this was already done? So one of the goals that I like to use that I teach my clients is the energy of 10K today, like 10K today or 5K today, or I just signed a new client, pay in full today. And every single morning you wake up in the possibility that there's a client out there for you. And then every single night you pretend like you signed the client. So I'll even do my journaling. Like, I'm so grateful I signed a client today. I'm so grateful for that 5K. I'm so grateful for that 10K. I'm so grateful for that speaking gig. And so I'm constantly putting myself in the thought and the feeling state of it's already done. It's already done. It's already in the bank. It's already done. And for some of you, this is going to be a little tricky because you've never slowed down enough, right? If you're overthinking, you're not actually feeling. You're staying in your head. Same thing, if you're overactioning, you're not actually feeling. You're staying in your head. So I'll walk you through this a little bit, but you can also play along. How would you feel if this is already successfully done? Most of my clients, when we do this exercise, they say they would feel proud. They're like, I would feel proud. I would feel accomplished. I would feel confident. And those are 3 words that they typically go to that they would feel if they already achieved the goal. Okay? So I want you to settle in here and see which word for you feels like the best, like the juiciest, like the most settled in your body. Or maybe you would feel grounded, right? Whatever the word is, whatever the feeling state is, you want to think about it and feel it. Now you want to think, okay, if I was feeling accomplished, I was feeling proud, if I was feeling successful or confident or certain, the third step is, how would you be thinking about yourself? What thoughts lead to you feeling accomplished, proud, certain, grounded, whatever that feeling is for you? What are the thoughts that get you there? All right, so I'm going to review this really quickly. Number 1, what's the result you want? Number 2, what would you feel like if you already had this result done? Number 3, how would you be thinking about yourself and your capabilities if it was already done? Okay. All right. So Chris says relieved. And I like this. Now I'll shift it just a little bit, Chris, because the relief is always signifying that you're feeling pressure, right? It's like, well, the pressure would be off if this was already done. And what I see a lot with my clients is they have this interesting relationship with pressure where like they put themselves under pressure so they can perform. And what I think would be useful here for Chris and anybody else who's like, I would feel relieved, I would shift that feeling to grounded or calm or safe. Because when your body hears, I am safe, I am calm, I am grounded, I am focused, and focus is a little bit activated, but I noticed that grounded and calm or centered helps us actually lean into that feeling. And it doesn't matter if you have the clients yet, it doesn't matter if you have the results yet, it's creating the feeling state in your body first. And it can literally be, I'm going to take a couple deep breaths. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to imagine feeling calm, grounded. I'm going to put myself in that feeling state. I'm going to imagine I already have it done. And then I'm going to tell myself how proud I am of myself. So I'm going to give you all some thoughts because I work with clients who do this all the time. I also have an entire worksheet that I'll send out. It's called 100 Thoughts to 100K. I will share those thoughts with you. You can practice them over and over again. And these are some of the thoughts that really help my clients. I can figure this out. I know what I'm doing. People want what I have to offer. What I offer is valuable. People like me. People trust me. People are seeking me out. I'm good enough. I love connecting with people. I know how to create clients. I know how to talk to people, right? So like you can plug in whatever those things are for you. But these are the thoughts that you'll need to think consistently over and over again to become the person where people are magnetized to you because they feel safe, they feel connected, you're calm, you're offering value, you're letting them know how that they can work with you, You're giving them the email link, you're giving them the information, they're seeing you everywhere, but you're in a calm, grounded place. And then what happens is you start to magnetize people to you. You start to magnetize results to you. Or you start to get yourself into this calm, grounded place and then take actions from that place. All right? Okay, so Josh is saying, my bump in the road with this is that as soon as I write, I'm so thankful I just signed 2 new clients, my brain is like, no, you did it. Yeah, okay, I'm going to help you with this, Josh. So I could say, I'm happy to know that there are new clients coming to me now. That feels easier to accept. Yes, Josh, you just coached yourself through that. That's exactly correct. So what I like to do with this, Josh, and for everybody else, like it's tricky when we're using these words. I like to know that I'm writing my future story, but I'm writing it in present tense. So typically, if I'm having a hard time, because I'll do this in the morning and I'm like a grouchy morning person, so it takes me a couple hours to wake up. When I'm doing my journaling practice and I'm writing these intentional thoughts down, typically what I'll do is I'll start with things that are easy, right? Like I'm so grateful that I already worked with this client, or this client is really fun, or I'm imagining this client, or it feels really good to be working on the thing that I love. So I'll kind of say the true things. And then I'll start to do some of the math. And I'll just say, it is so fun to sign 3 clients today for X amount of dollars. So again, it's just like, yeah, that's really fun. And I can think about how fun that could be. So there's another ways that you can write it. You want to find something that feels true to you. But the other thing I'd like to say is just like, this is already done. Or I'm open to the possibility of this already being done. That's another way you can practice it. And then what you'll see is the more you practice it over time, the more you become open to that thought and you become open to that feeling. Okay. All right. So now we're on to step number 4 of how to execute and evaluate. So we went through number 1, think about the results you want to create specifically. Number 2, think about how you would feel if it was already done. Number 3, think about how you would think about yourself and your capabilities. And you want to think that on purpose now. And one of the things I would do, and I've been coaching on this the entire week through the Comeback Challenge, is do not let your brain get stuck on I don't know. All right. Because anytime your brain says, I don't know, I've never done this before, what I switch that to is I'm getting paid to figure this out. Like my value is in my presence. I already have enough education. I already have enough value and I'm getting paid to figure this out. And I'll say this to say I've signed about $40,000 or $50,000 worth of contracts, government contracts, retreat contracts, speaking gigs, where people say, hey, I want you to do 4 trainings over the series of a year. And I want you to train us on XYZ, and this is the outcome. And so I'll do a consultation with them. Then I'll give myself a week to get the proposal together. And then I will submit the proposal with a large price tag on it. Okay, like $15,000, $20,000. And I remember when I was first doing these proposals, my brain was screaming at me. It was like, you've never done this before. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do this. And then I switched it to, but what do I know? And what I did know is I was like, I've been speaking for 20 years. I was literally that nerd in high school that signed up for a class called Seminar in Science. I literally signed up to give seminars about science and brains and phenotypic plasticity. And like, I've always wanted to have these engaging presentations. And then I got hired for my very first job. I traveled all around the country. I gave sales and product education presentations. So I was like, I've been doing this forever. And so I started to tell myself, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting paid to figure this out. And every new consultation I would have, every new proposal was a new opportunity to pull from what I already knew and then put that in a proposal, put that in a presentation to get the company or the organization or the military the result that they wanted to get. So I came up with team building exercises. I came up with resiliency exercises. I came up with emotional processing techniques for a group. I came up with how to get a group of men together in a retreat aspect to do some holistic healing. And it all came from the fact that I said, I'm getting paid to figure this out. I know what I'm doing. And what do I already know? And then I just put that on paper. And then I took the action and I sent off the proposal and I waited for them to get back to me. And then I had to have the conversation with them about money and cost and investment. And so this is the next step, right? Step number 4 is you have to take the action. Now, here's what knocks people out. And here's why people end up hiring me as their life coach. When you take the action, there will be a period of what I would call vulnerability hangover, of intense imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is when your brain is just yelling at you, telling you you're not good enough, telling you you should have done it better, telling you you probably messed something up on the proposal, that that email was definitely horrible. And then you're going to have this like period of self-judgment where we're like, you remember everything from the past 15 years of your life. You remember when you were 5 years old and you're like, yep, I remember when I did bad on that thing in my art class. Like, you have to create space for all of the feelings that come up after you take the action. And for me, it's typically like, let's say I have a conversation with somebody and it's like a sales conversation, or it's a consult, or it's like a pitch, like I pitched something to someone, like an email. I typically give myself about 30 minutes to feel extremely exposed, to feel extremely vulnerable, to feel like, oh my gosh, I just put myself out into the world. Like, every time I get off one of these live streams, I do the same thing. I go on a 30-minute walk, I decompress, I talk to my dog, I cuddle my dog, and I just let myself be in that energy of, you just put yourself out there. You just made an offer. You just became more visible. And I give myself that time without judgment. And I let my brain do its little brain thing, try to keep me safe, try to tell me how I should have done better. And I just let that be what it is. And I just do really kind things for myself. Now, for some of us, this happens for me when I speak as well. This vulnerability hangover can last a little longer. It might last 24 hours. It might last a week. Now, if you're not getting coached and you don't have somebody to process emotions with, the unfortunate part is I've seen people have a big rejection, a big failure, and it's just big based on what they're thinking and feeling, right? It's just because they're not willing to sit with the emotion. But what I've seen is, this happened to me early on in my business. I did a launch. I remember this is like back in 2017. I did a launch. I put all this money into it. I put $300 into it, built a website, did this launch. I got 0 people. And it like knocked me out for like 2 or 3 months. I was just like, I can't believe this. I worked so hard on this. It didn't work. And now I go through launches over and over and over again because I've built up the emotional resiliency, right? And emotional resiliency is being willing to sit with the feeling in your body, to process it, to breathe through it, to love yourself no matter what, to love yourself even when you make a mistake, to be kind to yourself even when you fail. And this is the secret sauce to getting to 6 figures and beyond, period. Yes, I know we need to take action. Yes. But it's, what do we do after the action? Because what's going to happen is our nervous system, our brain wants to keep us safe. And it's going to keep saying, don't keep taking actions because it's really scary. And then your brain tells you how bad you are. And what you need to know is you need to get quick at getting through the process of shame, vulnerability, rejection, self-judgment, having your brain feel really loud and embarrassed, and then get into the very calm, connected space where you're feeling proud, where you're like, I'm so proud of myself. I did that. I did that scary thing. It might feel like I'm dying, but I'm not dying. I'm so proud of myself. And then we start with our evaluation. Okay. Now, I don't do my evaluation immediately. I give myself, that 30 minutes to chill out, or that 24 hours to chill out, have that moment, and then I go right into evaluation. So this is the next step. We're in step number 5. When you evaluate, you're going to ask yourself 3 questions. The first question is the most important one. What worked? What did I do well? And you always want to list out 20 things. I will not let my clients evaluate and just go straight to the negative stuff. It's not going to work. You want to list out the 20 things. What did I do well? What worked? And this has to do with your marketing as well. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people early on, as they're starting to promote themselves in their business, they're like, their stuff isn't getting seen on social media. Nobody's seeing it. Nobody's commenting. So as we evaluate that, we actually want to start with, I'm doing a good job posting. Because a lot of my clients, like, their first step is like just posting and showing up 3 times a week. And then they move to posting 5 times a week. And then they maybe move to posting stories. So remember that everybody's going to start somewhere different. And you got to evaluate, like, for me, how is this a big step for me? How am I proud of myself and what I'm working on, right? Some of my clients are doing live trainings, live workshops for the first time ever. Some of them are doing in-person workshops for the first time ever. So you always want to show up and be like, I got myself to show up, make a PowerPoint, give a presentation. I said this, I said that, I gave them good information, I interacted with this in this way, and you want to give at least 20 things that worked really well for you. All right, now step number 6. What didn't work? Now, what didn't work? I'll give you an example because I teach consultation evaluations. This is something that I learned from my millionaire mentor that changed the game for me. And when I started doing this without shame, when I started doing this in a very detailed fashion, and how I coach my clients on this now is anytime you have a conversation with somebody and they say no, or they don't get back to you, or they decide not to work with you for whatever reason, you actually go into, okay, what didn't work that I had control over? So what most people are going to say is, well, the economy's bad. They said they didn't have the money. They said they needed to talk to their husband. And like, those are the things that didn't work. But what I teach my clients is 100% ownership and responsibility for their part. So what I want you to consider is like when you're having a pitch conversation, when you're having a connection coffee chat, when you're having a partnership conversation or a consult, and somebody said those objections, you want to ask, what was happening for me when they said that? And oftentimes what I get, I see this a lot of times on social media, where people will have memes and they'll be like, the price is the price, right? And we all laugh, we're like, thumbs up, the price is the price, ma'am, right? And we get kind of snappy about the price. But I want you to think about what's the feeling that's generated in you when you're like, well, the price is the price. I'm worth it. Typically, the feeling is defensiveness, judgment, a little bit of sass, a little bit of like, well, get off the phone then, right? Like, this isn't my best client. And what I like to believe is if someone is going to reach out to me, if someone's going to engage in a free challenge, if someone's going to follow me on Instagram, be on my email list, they want to receive value from me and they want to work with me. So it's always my job to overcome their objection that's in their head, whether it's price, whether they don't think they can do it, whether they don't really know what a life coach is. I'm never like, actually, let me be honest, I'm human. So I also get into judgment. But when I do my evaluations, I'll notice I'll be like, oh, I was judging them. I was like, oh, well, I've invested over $100,000 in my business, so like they should too. Little jerks, right? And anytime I'm in that energy, it never creates a result. So what I notice is to catch that really early on. And then I notice to seek into compassion or connection, where I'm like, actually, I remember the very first time I invested in my business. I got fired in 2015. I had no clue what I was going to do because I wasn't like ready to get fired. I remember I was like, well, I guess I'll work as a waitress. And you know, when you're a waitress, you make like $3 an hour. So I was like, I guess this is what I'm doing now. And somebody approached me with this investment opportunity to get into network marketing. And it was like $1,500. I was like, sure, yeah, I'm going to start my own business. Let's do it. It was so scary. But I was like, I'm going to take all of my savings, invest in network marketing. At the same time, somebody came up to me and said like, hey, I'm doing this mentorship. It's a year-long business mentorship. And I think it was like $1,200. So all of a sudden, just got fired, used all my savings, $3,000 to invest in coaching, to invest in mentorship. And I remember being so afraid. But I also remember being like, well, what else am I going to do? Like, I need guidance. I need something. I also remember when I invested in Bali, like I spent $5,000 to go to Bali back in 2018. And I didn't have that money either. So like, I remember what it was like to be in that position. And then I think about, okay, my job as the coach, my job as the business owner is to make sure that I'm communicating the value as many times as I need to, in as many ways, while I'm feeling calm, compassionate, open, connected. And while I'm like, yeah, I know, like we all have to think about big investments. And so notice as you're doing the evaluation, if you're judging people in your marketing, if you're judging people in these conversations, it's going to show up. So instead of thinking, well, they just don't want to invest, they're not my best client, I just don't want to talk to them, why do people always ask about price, or like taking it personally offensively, next you just want to go, oh, here I see I got defensive and I missed the opportunity to explain the value, to explain exactly what they're going to get. Because the only reason people say no, right, like they don't want to work with you, they don't want to pay your price, is because the value exchange doesn't seem like it's there for them. And I'll give you an example. So I just signed up for dog training, 4 weeks, in-home dog training. Or not in-home, like they take you, like it's like a board and train. And my problem was so painful for me because we have this puppy. She wants to eat our cat. She's wild. She won't stop. She's ripping up the carpet. Like she's all over the place. And I went in for a consultation. I had a price in my mind. I was like, maybe it'll be 1,000, right? Maybe it'll be 1,500. And it ended up being double that. It ended up being 3,500. And I also remember being like, but I need this. Like, I can't, this dog, we can't keep this dog unless she gets this training. And I realized in that moment, like, this is how that sales process works. If somebody has a problem and you solve it, even if the price is a little bit higher, if they can imagine what their life is going to be like after they work with you, right? We're really always paying for a feeling. So if you can start educating, this is the feeling you'll get after working with me, this is the value of that feeling, then you're going to continue to sign more and more and more clients. All right. So when you're thinking about what didn't work, we're not going to take shame on this at all. We're just going to be so aware of our own thoughts and our own feelings during the process. Okay, our own thoughts, our own feelings during the process. Now, if you're watching this and maybe you're not a business owner, again, I work with probably 90% business owners, but I am a life coach, so I work with them on all areas of their life. So you could also think about this in terms of health or relationship. If you're like, hey, my health really suffered this last year, like, how did I get that result? Like, what was I thinking? What was I feeling? And I'll use myself as an example again. One of the thoughts that was driving me was, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And I kept telling myself, I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time for that. I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth. And the more I told myself, the more that became true. So one of the thoughts that I'm now using for my health, as I'm evaluating having a 6-figure business and having my health and having my relationship, right? Like the big three, I want to have them all ironed out, is I prioritize what's important to me. And health is important. So if I decide I prioritize what's important to me, then I can start problem solving. And now we can step into, what will I do differently next time? That's number 7. What will I do differently next time? And for me, when I look at my health, I will tell myself I have time for this. I will tell myself this is important. And that's what I've done in terms of tracking my macros. I have a health coach that I work with. I'm always like, I don't want to track my macros, but I've decided to tell myself, I can do this. This is important. It's actually very quick and easy to track my macros. It only takes about 10 minutes to 15 minutes a day. I can do this. This is important. And so looking at you wanting to get different results in your health, in your relationship, in your business, now you want to start shifting. What do I need to think differently? How do I need to feel differently? And then we go into, okay, now what are different creative actions that I could take? Different creative actions that I could take. And this is specific. I want to go back to specifically to marketing, because this is where I see people really, really get down on themselves. And those of you who are tuning in with me live, or you're watching the replay, you're seeing me do this in real time. I decided I wanted to create a specific result in my business. I decided this was my comeback year. I decided I want to create a lot of value in my business and give people a free way to work with me. So I decided I'm going to create the Comeback Challenge. And on the back end of the Comeback Challenge, I'm going to offer low cost coaching calls, $25 coaching calls. I'm going to offer a birthday offer. I wanted to celebrate my birthday. So I've got a birthday offer. You can do 3 coaching calls with me for $218, because my birthday's on 218. And so I'm experimenting as well. And I'm doing it with you and teaching with you as you go. Now, what I see really stop people though, is they try something, right? Like they try a marketing campaign for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They don't get the connections. They don't get the consults. They don't make the money they want to make. And then they go into like a state of depression for the next month or the rest of the month. And they're like, well, I guess it's me. I guess people just don't like me. I guess people just don't want to have to offer. Yep, I guess it's the economy. Yep, my price is too high. Yep. And they just like start putting all of these thoughts that are all outside of their control. So what I want you to get back to, especially if you're building a business, is you create a plan, you execute the plan, you see what the result is, then you do what worked, what didn't work, and now we look at the result and we're like, okay, did I get the result or not? Right? If I wanted to get 10K and only got 5K, now I look at, okay, like what was I thinking? How was I feeling? How was I spending my time? What marketing was I doing? What was I not doing? Right? Was I wasting time? We're like really just getting so curious. And then we go, great, what's the next plan? And we go right into the next plan and we go right into implementing it. And what I want to tell you all about 2025, and my coach and I, she's been teaching this all of last year in 2024 as well, with the election cycle, with things going on in the economy, with uncertainty, there may be some additional work you've got to do. Like back in 2016, if you had an online business, like there wasn't that many of us. Now it's like everybody has an online business, right? Like there might be more competition. There might be the algorithms are working differently. Now we don't use that against us, But we just go, okay, if this is the circumstance, if maybe people are taking longer to buy, maybe people are thinking a lot about what they're going to invest in, maybe people do have a lot of objections. Now it's my opportunity to get really good at overcoming of the objections. Now it's my opportunity to get really good at offering them free value ahead of time. Right? Because people want to know what it's like to work with you before they work with you. So the more often you can do that, the better. So this might be the year where you do have to output way more value, way more free workshops, way more emails, way more text messages, way more coffee chats. But if you're doing this from a place of like true love and connection and intention and like gratitude, remember, if you have your own business, baseline gratitude. You don't have a boss. You get to wake up when you want. You get to go to sleep when you want. You get to do what the hell you want. And I remember I got stuck in this for a while where I was like, oh, like business is hard. And my coach would remind me like, listen, this is a privilege to have a business. It's especially a privilege to have an online business. You don't have to put pants on, right? Like who knows if we're wearing pants on the bottom? Just kidding, right? So it's baseline making sure that you're in the frequency, you're in the energy, you're in those feelings that are valuable, that allow you to move forward in action, stay connected, stay curious, and continue to move forward in action. Okay, so I'm going to review this for you and then we'll take any coaching. So if anybody is on here, you have questions, you want some coaching, we can pop those in here as well. So remember how to execute and evaluate. Step 1, think about the exact specific results you want to create. Number 2, think about how you would feel if it was already successfully done. Number 3, think about how you would think about yourself. What would you tell yourself about your capabilities? Number 4, you take the action and you leave space for the vulnerability hangover, the rejection, the self-judgment. Number 5, then you go into evaluation. Number 1, what worked? List out 20 things. Number 6, what didn't work? With the specific lens of how was I thinking and feeling during the weird actions I took. And I say weird actions because I am often weird. I am a speaker. I speak online. I speak in person all the time. And I still often find myself doing weird actions. And I notice what's going on behind me. And for me, and I think a lot of my clients have this, like my deep-seated belief is people don't like me. And I say deep-seated, it just means it's existed for 30 years, 40 years, right? And so anytime that thought comes up, I notice myself acting weird. So then I have to go back to, okay, people do like me, or people respect me, or people value what I have to offer, or it's okay that people don't like me. Like I have to like shift it so that I get out of the weirdness. Okay. This is especially true for introverts, right? A lot of introverts will say like, I'm weird around people. I don't know how to connect. And when you tell yourself that, that's how you show up. So what I like to tell myself, because I'm actually kind of introverted, is I'm really good at connecting one-on-one with people. I'm really good at talking about animals. I'm really good at finding a commonality. Okay. And then step number 7, what will I do differently? Right? How do I want to think? How do I want to feel? And then what's the next action plan? Like, let's just put another action plan into place and evaluate the next action plan. So the thing that's going to help you get to 6 figures, if that's your goal, the thing that's going to help you build a healthy routine in terms of self-care, in terms of your health, in terms of spending time with your family, in terms of your relationships, all of this is your capacity and ability to manage your thoughts and emotions, period. Because when we're stuck in feelings, the actions that we take are typically not prioritizing our highest self, our goals. Right? If we're stuck in overwhelm, we're probably going to go binge watch TikTok. We're like, I don't know what to do next. I'm just going to go on TikTok. Or we're going to binge watch Netflix, or we're going to eat cookies on the couch, or we're going to sleep in or stay up late. If we're prioritizing our health and we are feeling overwhelmed, we might overeat. So like we just look at all of these, the execution and the evaluation. The main skill here is to learn how to manage your feelings, sensations in your body, and your thoughts, the thoughts that you tell yourself over and over again. And I'll share with you how this is done because most of my clients, high achievers, they don't know how to do this. They've never been taught it. That was me. I didn't learn this process until I was 30 years old. None of us learned this. None of us learned how to process our emotions because most of the world is based on take action, just keep taking action, just keep taking action, just keep doing all the things. And what I want to invite you to lean into is the ability to process emotion. So what I teach my clients, I call it the perfectionist protocol, is 4 things. First thing we do is we slow down and we take the pressure off. So anytime you're starting to feel overwhelmed, it's because you're pressuring yourself, you're setting a really high bar, and we just want to pause for a second. So I want you to use today's video to pause to do some evaluations and just take the pressure off, to check in to see, like, are the goals that I'm even setting, are they relevant, right? Are they in alignment? Let's start there. Then step number 2 is we reassess, we reevaluate. Should I be going after 5K? Should I be going after 2K? Should I be going after 10K? Why or why not? And having a coach really helps you in setting your goals. I typically tell my clients, you should be aiming for doubling your revenue. Anytime we have to go over that, it kind of spins us out and going into overwhelm. So if you can aim for doubling your revenue, if you're at 1,000, aim to 2,000. If you're at 2,000, aim for 4,000, right? And then step number 3 is we need to learn how to take tiny actions. So we break it down into a small, tiny goal, so we're not overwhelmed. And then step number 4 is we celebrate. We always celebrate the action that we take. And then step number 5, we move into evaluation. And the reason why this is so much easier with a coach is because most of us, me included, we don't really want to sit with our feelings. We don't really, we don't find it useful. We don't always come out the other side with something useful. Sometimes it makes us go deeper into the despair and hopelessness. So what I do with my clients when we coach together is we actually process emotions right on the call. So I'm very action and results driven as a coach, but I also will process emotion with you. So that means if I'm sensing there's an emotion coming up, I'm saying, hey, I see this emotion here. Do you want to sit with this for a little bit? If you're available to, we can do that together. And I walk them through a couple different processes to feel the feeling in their body just for a moment, and then to drop down in and shift the energy. When you learn how to do this on command, you learn how to breathe, when you learn how to be with what is, when you learn how to love yourself deeply, you are able to take more action. You are able to get more results. So that's the one thing I really wanted to settle into on today's training is the emotional aspect of taking action. Most people are not aware that this is going on behind the scenes. So we want to bring up the awareness. We want to process the emotion. And then we want to make sure we have a safe place to land for when we do have that failure or rejection or self-judgment come up, right? So here's the offer for you today. The offer is for you to book a free consultation call with me. On the call itself is 60 minutes, completely free. On the call, we do 3 things. Number 1, we're going to assess where you are in the entirety of your life, in your business, your finances, in your relationship, in your health. Let's just take a big picture of where you are without any judgment, without any shame. And then we walk into what's the vision? What do you want to create? What are the areas you want to work on? What changes do you want to see? And what I do as the coach on the call is I'm looking and listening and taking notes, and I'm looking for the places where there's some thought errors, there's some kind of like mistakes in your thinking, there's some patterns that you keep getting stuck in that you may not even see. So the value of the consultation is you get to see what am I stuck in? Why am I stuck here? And then how do I get out of this? What's a way to think about this differently? So you'll get a perspective shift. You'll also get like a 3 to 5 step process that I'm like, hey, these are the things that you really need to work on. And then lastly, what we'll do is I'll show you, like, this is how we could work on it in coaching together. This is what I recommend. But all of this is completely up to you, right? So I never hard sell anybody on a consultation. What I do, though, is I help them really investigate what's going on in their brain, because your brain is driving your results always. Money is made with your mind. The health that you want to have is created in your mind. The relationship that you want to have is created in your mind. All of it is up here. And if you're not aware of what's going on in your mind, and you're not aware of how to shift it, you're not aware of how to process emotions, reprogram the subconscious, become a more positive person, celebrate yourself, shift the energy, gain momentum, take action. Like, if you're not aware of how to do all those things, then you will stay typically stuck in the same place for quite a while. Now, my clients are high achievers. They're smart, they're intelligent, they're highly educated. So the biggest block that they typically have in the way is they're like, I should be smart enough to figure this out myself. And I get it because I was always there. I'm like, I'm smart. I should know how to do this. But really, what it is a brain surgeon can never do surgery on themselves. So we need that external perspective of somebody else watching your brain from the outside, looking in, to be able to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Hey, this is what I'm seeing here. Here's how to shift it. Let me offer you this. And this is why I continue to work with a one-on-one coach, because I'm a life coach, but there's still shitty thoughts going on inside my brain all day long. And so when I sit down each week with my coach, I'm able to sit there, process the feelings, set the intentions, and then take the aligned actions that I want to take. So that's what we do together in coaching. And if you want to experience it, come to the free consultation call. There's no obligation. I give these away for free. 60 minutes of my time that you don't have to pay for. You'll walk away with a clear action plan. You'll walk away feeling lighter and freer because you get to just talk to me. Like for a complete hour, you get to talk to an expert who is here for you and your goals. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to tell you, of course you can do this. Of course you're intelligent. Of course you're smart. You've got this. And at the end of the call, you can decide whether or not you want to work with a coach, whether or not you want to do on your own. And here's what I say. You can do everything I teach you on your own. The difference is you're going to have to compile this, right? Like you're going to have to like compile YouTube channels and videos and books. And it tends to be a little more challenging when you get stuck in a rut because it's harder for us to pull ourselves out. And if you're taking massive action, you are going to come up against massive failure, rejection, uncertainty. And the way to get through that quickly is to have someone coach you. What I see when people are doing this on their own is they tend to spiral, they tend to self-sabotage, they tend to overeat, they tend to do things that aren't necessarily good for them, drinking too much wine, right? Not to say that any of that's bad, but we know when we know, right? The things that we're doing that are not actually moving us forward. So book a free consultation with me. We'll talk about if coaching is the right time, right place, right investment for you. And no matter what, you're going to be able to move forward with a clear plan of action. All right, so if you finish this and you watch the replay and you're executing, I want you to actually engage. Come back, let me know, what did you learn? What's your new action plan? And definitely head over and book a free consultation. Go to camikennedy.vip to book that free consultation. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.